And welcome to episode 5 of the Tuesday Talk IU Athletics podcast. Joined by Director of Athletic Communications Larry Dielman and Student Assistant Connor Kikowski. This is Sports Information Director Andy Alvarez bringing you information about the past week's action and previewing the week ahead in IU Athletics. We've had a lot going on this past week in IU Athletics, with field hockey and women's soccer hosting their senior days this past weekend. And I have to admit, these senior days, particularly these first couple fall ones with field hockey, women's soccer, and men's soccer coming up this week, and we'll have volleyball soon. They mean a lot to me because this was the group that I started with in September of 2022 when I came here to IU and began my position. Connor Kikowski, you were one of those athletes that I started with and have been with, worked with here in the game management and the sports information work for the past 4 years. So they meant a lot to me, and it was fun to be out there, be a part of that process. So let's get things rolling with some action.
Starting off with women's volleyball, an impressive weekend for the Lady Mighty Macs, going 2-1 over the weekend, with Rutgers Newark and York College, PA, coming here for a doubleheader. The Mighty Macs swept Rutgers Newark 3-zip and unfortunately fell to York College in 4 sets, but it's still a very competitive match. And then on Saturday, opening conference play against St. Elizabeth here at Alumni Hall, it was another sweep, 3-0 for the Mighty Macs. So 2 sweeps in 3 matches, not bad at all. Angelica Santini Buellerin against Rutgers Newark had 31 assists. Adriana Ventura and Eliana Zakowski each had 2 service aces, and Adriana and Damani Myers each had 7 digs. Against York College, the second set went to, I like to call it a set overtime when it's past 24-24. The ladies won 27-25 in that second set. And then St. Elizabeth, a quick 3-0 sweep for them. Mia Esposito with 9 kills. Angelica with 25 assists and 10 digs. Lauren Gartman had 3 aces. The weekly honor roll this week for the Atlantic East Conference, Angelica and Mia Esposito were named to the weekly honor roll. And coming up next for the Mighty Macs, they will host another doubleheader on Tuesday, October 14th, this time against Penn State Schuylkill at 4:30 and Washington College at 7 o'clock as part of Hispanic Heritage Night. Also, later in the week, the ladies will get another conference opportunity when they go to Pratt up in Brooklyn, New York. So, guys, honestly, volleyball this week, pretty good numbers, 2 wins, and especially a conference win. What do you guys think?
Yeah, that was a real impressive showing this weekend for them. I mean, you play, you take 2 matches by sweeps 3-0, then you battle a tough York team. You get that second set, you're right there, possibilities, but eventually playing your second match of the day did kind of catch up with them, I think. And then to come right back the next day and earn a conference win to get a good start, get a foothold in the AEC season for them. I mean, that's been a struggle the last couple of years for them in the AEC competition. So it's good to see them get a start, get a win under their belt. You got a few more non-conference matchups this week, and then you prepare for a trip up to Pratt, and then try to get back at them for they came in here last year and beat us. So it'll be nice to see them go up and give Pratt a good match on Saturday.
I think for volleyball, like from this year to last year, just a complete different vibe that's really good for them this year. I mean, the freshmen have really made a statement in their first year here. I mean, Adriana Ventura in Rutgers Newark had 14 digs, and then, like we said, Santino Blumer was right behind her with 10. And even if York, like these schools that they're going up against, York, Rowan, Rutgers, Camden, Alvernia, they're all competitive games, and they're all staying with them. So it's definitely going to help them as they get into conference play. All right, moving on to women's soccer, which women's soccer had a pretty good week. They split a pair of AC games this week. They fell to Marymount 2-0 on Wednesday, but it was still a good showing for Emily Guthier, who made 6 saves in the full 90 minutes played. And then they were able to defeat St. Elizabeth this past Saturday on Senior Day. Gabby Palladino had 1 goal and 2 assists. Lily McGee and senior Maria Granito each scored their first collegiate goals. Lily's a freshman, obviously not. She's had a lot of assists, but finally was able to get that goal in. Grace Rapici scored a team-leading 3rd goal of the season, and Brooke Kikowski, my sister, and Natalie D. Alfonso each scored their 2nd goals of the season. And prior to the game, Immaculata honor seniors Gally Palladino, Samantha Cedito, Maria Granito, Savannah Crowden, Ella Bonaventure, and Emily Guthier So women's soccer definitely got a good confidence, especially when they go up to Pratt on Saturday. That's their next AEC game. But it was obviously good to have the seniors honored and tried so hard to get Sam Cedillo that one goal. She hit the post a lot, was right there. Seamus was saying we were trying so hard, but she had a good game. It was good to see Granito and Cedillo have the assist. That they tag team that last goal from Maria's first goal. So what did you guys think from women's soccer this week?
Yeah, a lot of great play from the women's soccer team this week. Marymount is a tough team to face in this conference. So only giving up 2 goals is definitely a positive. And then St. Elizabeth with a 6-0 win. A lot of the seniors with their fingerprints all over that game. And I think it was 5-0 at halftime. So to go into the break with a pretty insurmountable lead, in my opinion, definitely has to feel good for the team and the coaching staff, and especially on senior day, it just makes it that much sweeter.
Yeah, that was a really nice day, and you could see. I mean, he's only had a few months with these seniors, but you could see right there, what they mean to Seamus O'Connor and his coaching staff. I mean, Ken coached a few of them, coached Gabby before, so but you get Seamus only's had 3 months with these girls, and they mean the world to him, and you could see that, and you could see how excited he was getting down there on the sidelines as the opportunities for certain players to make plays and everything like that occurred. And it's real good signs for the future with this women's soccer program here. And they're right there in good position, currently sitting in fourth place in the conference to make a run at another trip into the conference tournament again this year, and possibly come away with another semifinal appearance, possibly a chance to maybe sneak into a final as these players continue to develop. So it's a it was a good weekend for them, and it was a great day on Saturday. Really proud of our seniors and and what the team was able to do. I'm looking forward to them playing. Moving ahead, field hockey, they split a pair of games this past week. They lost to St. Mary's College in Maryland, a very strong team and a team that's been to the NCAA tournament before. So it's a first time they played in a few years. Tough result. They didn't get, the result you're looking for, but they were able to bounce back and beat the College of Worcester. That is Worcester, not Worcester. 1-0 on Friday on Senior Day. This was the first meeting between Immaculata and the College of Worcester in any sport that I could find in the records, since they're from Ohio. So that was a different opponent. Nice to see that. Senior Gabby O'Brien scored the game's only goal in the second quarter, assisted by fellow senior Jill Vandenbroek. Jill Vandenbroek got an insert from a penalty corner from Abby Feckety, a senior. She played it a little bit forward, played it into Gabby O'Brien in the box, who turned and fired it past the goalkeeper there for the game's only goal, and it being the game winner. For those efforts, Gabby O'Brien was named to the weekly honor roll. Mackenzie Schrack made 8 saves in goal to earn her second career shutout. She made 4 saves in succession in a goal mouth scramble in the third quarter to preserve that 1-0 lead. And Schrack had come into the game against St. Mary's on Wednesday and made 8 saves while playing the second half of the game. So for her efforts, Kenzie Schrack was named the AEC Defensive Player of the Week for the second time this season. So it's good to see her bounce back from tough times the previous week to come back and play strong in 2 games, and really was aggressive in that crease area. And Friday being was senior day, Immaculata honored the seniors Abby Feckety, Abby Jones, Rachel Madden, Jill Vandenbroek, Emmeline Bivens, Gabrielle Mungie, and Gabrielle O'Brien prior to the game. And they will now be off until Friday when they open Atlantic East Conference play, when they visit Manhattanville for a 4 p.m. game. With only 5 teams in the conference, 4 making the playoffs, every Atlantic East Conference game is important this season. So it'll be important for them to try to get off on a good start to try to get a win under their belt as they head into the final 4 games of their season, which will all be Atlantic East Conference games. What did you guys think?
Yeah, some good results this week. Obviously, as Andy said, St. Mary's, a strong state school. Just one you got to flush it and keep going. And then getting a win over Worcester, a team that obviously we don't really see at all since they're kind of state over, but a great 1-0 win again on senior day. Same thing with like women's soccer. Wins on senior day definitely means the world to the team and the seniors especially, but these conference games are going to be extra important with a smaller conference. I mean, a sport like basketball, you see every opponent twice. So you can afford to, drop a game here and there. But with only 5 teams and you only see them once, every game is crucial. So hopefully Connor we get some wins.
I mean, yeah, this was definitely they snapped a good long losing streak here on Friday with that 1-0 win. So that's huge, especially and now they get some rest before they go to Manhattanville, which starts the big leagues now, the conference play. And obviously that's a good point you raised, Lair, about talk about basketball when you play each team twice. You only play once here and it's already a smaller conference, so every game's going to matter. And yeah, it was good to see all the seniors out in the field. Obviously, field hockey, I'm pretty tight with the field hockey team when they're not bossing me around, but it's only sometimes. But yeah, I've been good friends with Abby Jones, Rachel Madden, and Gabby Mundy since freshman year. So reading all their names out on Friday and all what their families there was pretty good to do because this is my last year too. So it's a little surreal, but it's good to see them get on the win board again. Hopefully they have good conference play coming up.
Oh, I just wanted to add one more thing of field hockey during the week. In the game on Wednesday, Victoria Atkinson made three successive defensive saves in that game. It was the first time that's happened in a while, going back to like 2018. I think was the last time it had happened prior. So that was something that happened, and I hope I did say it in the list of seniors. I read that Rachel Madden's name. She had some big games back there on the back end defensively as well this week too. So that was some good things I wanted to make sure that were mentioned out of this week as well as they move forward.
Yeah, Andy Atkinson's that was first free defense saves was from September 29th, 2018 by Mackenzie Sassaman. So she was the first IU player to do that since then.
Moving right along to men's soccer. Men's soccer went 0-1-1 in conference play this week. They played at home against Marymount and then traveled up to North Jersey for a date with St. Elizabeth. The Marymount game was a scoreless draw, and St. Elizabeth, unfortunately, was a 2-1 defeat. The Marymount game in particular was a great game despite no score from either side. Luca Greppellini making 13 saves in goal. And then Matteo Palillo made 2 late saves in the game. Unfortunately, Luca went down with an injury, but Matteo kept the combined shutout going. Marymount took 32 shots, and Luca and Matteo kept the Saints out of the goal. 2-1 loss on Saturday, St. Elizabeth. Again, a team that we haven't seen as often, despite them joining the conference this year. We haven't really seen them before. A late push. We just couldn't get the equalizer for the Mighty Macs. So coming up this week for men's soccer, on Tuesday, they will travel to Hood College. They are in the MAC Commonwealth, so they are a non-conference team. Saturday is a home game with Senior Day against Pratt. Saturday is just Pratt for everybody. But the men, it'll be their turn to honor their 7 seniors. What do you guys think overall? I think that Marymount game was pretty impressive.
I mean, that game easily could have been 4 or 5-0 if it wasn't for Luca, who we'll have coming on here in a few minutes. And obviously, he's got a little banged up in these last 2 games, but it's good to see him still keeping at it. But yeah, enough and draw against Marymount is pretty good. And then the St. Elizabeth, that was obviously a tough game on the road, but they just gotta keep going forward. I mean, they got Pratt this week for Senior Day, so hopefully dudes can bring some good vibes there, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, that was the other day, the performance against Marymount. I mean, I was down on the field by the table and you could hear just how impressed the Marymount coaching staff was at what they were seeing from Luca. He really kept that game scoreless and unfortunately, he went down a little bit there and had to leave the game and to have your backup goalie go in there cold and make 2 big saves in the final minutes to preserve that scoreless draw. It's a big point. It's going to help in the standings. You get a point in that game, get a result. Unfortunately, Saturday, they didn't convert chances they had in the first half of that game, and they came back to get them in the second half with a penalty kick against them, which was converted, and then ball in front. Guy was able to get in. Unfortunately, that's when Luca didn't come back, and they did pull one back. They were the beneficiary of an own goal by St. Elizabeth to get back within one. Some opportunities late to try to pull an equalizer out that didn't work out, but like you said, I mean, everybody said they have that opportunity on Saturday when they against Pratt, try to get 3 points, get up to 5 points in the standings, and see where you are as you try to get into the top five to sneak into the Atlantic East Conference tournament. Moving on to tennis, both the Immaculata men's and women's tennis teams fell in their matches on Friday to Ursinus up there. There's 7-0 losses for both. It was the women's first loss of the fall, so they moved to 3-1 on the fall season so far. The men are 1-2 this fall. Both teams will complete their fall schedules this Saturday when they host Penn State Abington at the IU tennis courts at 12 p.m. So they'll be out there for people, stop by, support our tennis teams as they try to close out the fall on a good note. And I think cross country has something big coming up this week, Connor.
Yes, on Saturday we are heading down to New Jersey for the rowing board battle. Going to be the biggest race we see probably in the season. There's always like at least 300 runners in each event, so it's definitely going to be a lot of good competition there. And obviously, we had another week of training, so we're feeling good going into this race. And hopefully, and after this, we head up to New York for the Atlantic East Conference Championships at the Hudson Valley Sports Dome, hosted by Pratt. So one more big race before we get that going. So hopefully we can bring you some good results this weekend.
Now this course over there at Logan Township there, the Dream Park there, we've seen records set there. Like Aubrey set records there the last 2 years. Is it a good course in terms of like trying to run at a higher pace and maybe set a record or a
Yeah,
personal best?
yeah, because it's flat. I mean, like for example, our last race, Karen, that was not flat whatsoever. That was rocks, mud, dirt, hills, whatever you can think of. This course is just flat grass. You can run for days on that. The only challenge is a lot of people. You got to be careful, especially when you first start. When you first start, everyone's going to that one turn that you have to get into, and it's just mobs of people everywhere. You always got to be careful to not fall and stuff. Plus, the fans all have to get out of the way, so it's a little chaotic at the start, but eventually it spreads out. But yeah, for the most part, flat course, and that's why you always see really good PRs and times from there.
On another note, the Immaculata men's and women's basketball teams, they will officially open practice during the week this week, and midweek they start official practices. So we're just around the corner from basketball season, and our defending Atlantic East Conference champion women's team will be getting ready to start that defense this fall. A lot of new players on the team this year. Men's team, obviously, a lot of new players and a new coaching staff involved. So it's going to be an exciting time here at Immaculata as we move indoors after the fall season and get going with some hoops in Alumni Hall.
Yeah, obviously the men's team under new leadership this year, Kyle stepping up as the men's basketball coach, and they have a lot of returning guys, Jalen Flowers, Dylan Cruz doing a fifth year, Kevin Talesa Ford. So we're definitely going to see hopefully the men's team. They didn't make the playoffs last year, so they're going to be looking to make it this year. And obviously the women's team, of course, they lost a good amount of seniors like Reese Mullins, Tessa Liberato Sholey, Abby Boyer, but they got a good freshman class that came in, and you got returns like Meg Robbins, Carly Coleman, Olivia Etor, the reigning MVP from last year's championship, and Riley Cassidy. So hopefully they can make another run at a championship again. Hopefully be able to host another one again. That was fun to do last year. So hopefully we'll see what basketball can do here in the winter.
And I guess now would be a good time to bring in our guest today. We will be joined today by Luca Greppellini of the men's soccer team. So we'll have Luca on with us when we come back after this break on the IU Tuesday Talk Athletics podcast. And welcome back to the Tuesday Talk IU Athletics podcast. We welcome our guest, Luca Greppellini from the men's soccer team. So, Luca, welcome to the show today.
Thank you very much for having me, Andy, and it's great to speak to you guys.
Before we get started, got to ask you the first question. Is it soccer or football for you?
Well, going from back home in England, I'd have to say football for that one.
How to get that one in? Seamus from the women's soccer team told me to ask you
Yeah,
that one.
I know. Me and him are the only ones that will call it football here. However, I have been watching a lot more football since I have come out here.
So let's start off with how you got recruited to Immaculata. I know Rich Punt, the former coach here, got in touch with you from across the sea. So what was that process like for you?
Looking from obviously an international student, it's probably much harder to find the right match in terms of knowing where you want to be. So one of the important things about picking a university out here was having to come and visit, and obviously finding Coach Punt on the NCSA portal, we were able to connect and then find that meeting and the time. And obviously, when I came down onto campus, I was toured around and I felt at home straight away. It was a really nice place, a setting. I really liked the location, and I could see myself being here as a potential athlete in a future Mac. So that's one of probably the main reason I joined, specifically due to the campus. But I also like the feel, and I was looked after so well when I came, and I couldn't have asked for anything more when coming here, and that's why I picked Immaculata.
How have you been adjusting to life here in the United States and specifically here at Immaculata? I know that coming from overseas can probably be a weird transition at first. And we had from the volleyball team Angelica Santini Buehler on a few weeks ago, and she talked about her life coming from Puerto Rico to the United States. So for you, what's been the adjustment like here?
Yeah, I definitely say it's a big adjustment, and specifically for somebody that may not speak another language, I couldn't factor in how hard that must be for them. Obviously, I was lucky enough to come here and then obviously speak English with Americans speaking English, but it wasn't too challenging of like a change. It was very different. Obviously, moving away from family and friends, it was hard, but coming to Immaculata, there was a lot of support here, and I've been looked after well, as I said before. I was made sure I was taken care of during pre-season, and then going to classes. I know a lot of people around campus, and they were always here to help out and look out for me, which was a really positive factor, and that's one of the reasons, of course, why I chose to come here. I think it's been a really good change. I enjoy being in America, and it's a great experience, and I couldn't really ask for anything more with the big step. And obviously Immaculata's helped me made that change. So yeah, I'd say I've been settling very well, and I've been looked after really well. Thank you.
Obviously, so far this season, what do you enjoy most about being a part of the men's team here at Immaculata, and what's it like being with, this group of guys this year?
Yeah, I'd say I really enjoy being part of the team, and obviously being part of a sports team at a collegiate level. It's really interesting to see and learn how people see soccer or football, or whatever you want to call it, out here compared to in England, as it's a lot different. You're training every day, you're going through recoveries, you're looking at the video analysis factor. It's a lot different to at home, and that's due to the lack of funding in England at lower than academy level sports. And yeah, it's been a really good change. Obviously, we've had a bit of a tough season so far. Obviously, not with the record we want. Obviously, losing some games, but we've got a young side, and we're going to be keep on learning. We're going to keep on working as a group, and we're going to hopefully see them results change soon. But as a team, we're still united, closely knit. Like, I couldn't ask for anything more as a team. I've really enjoyed it, and I've really enjoyed working with the team so far.
I could definitely tell you though, you earned some respect the other night in that match with Marymount. Their coaching staff could not believe what they were seeing in some of those saves that you were making that night. So,
Yeah.
you've your play so far is really people are noticing what you've been able to do and what you add to the team. So it's been good to see that this season.
Yeah, look, I really appreciate it, and I'm just doing what I can for the team, grinding out as much as I can for the team. Obviously, we're not going to be winning every game, but if I just put in them performances game by game, obviously we're going to be improving. And I can't thank the defense and the midfield attack enough for obviously stopping the ball before it gets to me. Obviously, against Marymount, there was maybe 30 or so shots, but oh wow, we defended well as a team, and to get a draw against Marymount with the schedule we've had and obviously the results we've had, it's a big positive, and we're looking forward to getting more and more results like that. That should just be a standard now for us and as a team. But we're going to carry on getting them results. But yeah, the Marymount game was probably one of the highlights of the season. Obviously, making 14 saves against them was big.
Well, obviously getting a draw in Marymount is huge, especially in this conference that we have here. So let's talk about training. You mentioned it a little bit. What differences do you see between training back home in England with soccer or football and here? Like, what's the biggest things you've seen, if any?
Well, I definitely say the biggest change is in England, you'd probably train only twice a week compared to the 6 or 7 times you would do it here. So it's a lot different in terms of the load that you have, which is a big difference. Obviously, coming here, it's probably holding up on the legs now, but I'm not too sure how it will be in a couple of weeks. But yeah, that's probably one of the largest changes. And then also the idea of training before a match day. Normally you have a 1 or 2 day break between each game. And speaking to my friends that play in England at a university level for different sports, they have a couple of days off before their actual game day, which is a lot different here. I do like the change because it just keeps your legs topped up, and it keeps the sharpness going. But it's definitely a big change compared to that rest idea that they have in England.
How long have you been playing football? Obviously, dating back to your days in England. And how did you get your start? Because according to your bio, you played numerous sports as you've grown up. So, like, what's your background with sports, especially with football?
Yeah, so specifically with football, I would have said I started around when I was 4 or 5 years old. I used to play in my backyard with my cousin. So when he used to come down, and he made me start liking football. I used to play rugby before that, which is obviously a really big sport in England. But when I broke my arm, I kind of stopped playing that, and I switched towards football. And predominantly until I was maybe 11 years old, I was always playing outfield. So I always have a soft spot for playing outfield and not in goal. But obviously, I played when I was younger, just at like a lower like club level, and then I got picked up by Oxford United's academy. So like the equivalent to MLS Next, and I was there for a year, and then I made the change to go to under 18s and men's level. So stepping up a couple of year groups, obviously to play with more experienced players, and that was a big change because obviously academies have got a lot of finance and a lot of backing compared to club level, which is a little bit lower. So that's my background in terms of, or a short background in terms of my football at a youth level in England. But at school they had a variety of sports to play, such as rugby, field hockey, cricket, and all of these sports that you play in terms of a free semester rotation. So you're always going to be playing different sports and learning and training. But obviously, rugby was another strong point at a secondary school, high school level, and that was a really good game. And playing that with your friends back home in England is it's a big culture. It's probably equivalent to the idea of American football back here, of course. So yeah, I'd say it was always just at high school level, nothing higher than that outside of my sports. But obviously they offered a large variety at school, so that was always a positive, and it always allowed me to keep my options open. But I was always going to pick soccer over anything, as I enjoy that the most. But yeah, that's a brief background of my sports back home.
What are your plans for your future, like after college? Where do you see yourself in like a business sector? Do you see yourself in maybe coaching or something along that lines?
I'd say it's a tough one because I always have different ideas of what I've wanted to do after this. Obviously, I can't predict what's going to happen and where I'm going to be studying or working after Immaculata because I'm only on a short visa here. However, I do know I want to work in the sports sector. It's just I'm not too sure if I want to work in the corporate side of it or the coaching side of it. Working the coaching side, I always want to share my ideas, but always have inspiration when I watch movies like Moneyball, when I see obviously what he did with the baseball and being a GM or like a director in terms of in a sports world. It always inspires me. It makes me want to do that, and I always would like to share my ideas with how I could improve somewhere. And obviously, I've got a strong heart for business, majoring in sports and business management, so. I want to keep my options open with obviously sport and business, but I know that I want to specifically work down that path and look towards something more specific in that sector.
Well, Luca, we thank you very much for joining us here today on the IU Tuesday Talk podcast, and we wish you guys good luck in your games this week with Hood College on Tuesday, and then in conference play here at IU on Saturday when you guys play Pratt Institute.
Thank you very much, guys. Lovely to speak to you. Lovely to speak to you. Thank you.
And we'll be back after this break on the IU Tuesday Talk podcast. That was a great interview there with Luca. So that will about wrap things up for this week. Thank you again to Luca Greppellini, our guest, and my counterparts, Larry Dielman and Connor Kikowski. This is Andy Alvarez, and hope you will join us again next week for another edition of the Tuesday Talk IU Athletics podcast. Romax!